All right, folks, give credit where credit is due. Sean Spicer, RNC spokesman, who's been on this show many times with Alex Witt on MSNBC. They were talking about the Huckabee controversy, and Spicer turned it right around. And joining us now is a man who wrote about that and much more. Noah Rothman, editor and columnist at Mediaite.com. Hey, Noah.
Hey, Steve. How are you?
Good. How are you? That was pretty good. The way he kind of zinged MSNBC for their own problems when it comes to people speaking out.
Yeah, it was smart. Particularly the fact that they had been going on about this Mike Huckabee statement for multiple segments across just about every hour of programming. Since 4 p.m. yesterday, it had been the singular topic of conversation, at least once an hour, usually twice. And yeah, it was definitely good for him. And what was interesting about this time, because this kind of thing has come up before, I think it might have even been Sean Spicer who's issued this text going after Republicans for saying silly things, and then he turns it around on their staff, is that Alex Witt came back. She actually engaged in that situation. It's normally kind of, I've seen deflection and moving on from the topic, but Alex Witt said, no, I'm going to fight on this issue. I'm going to say that we hold our people to accountability. And then she went, so what are you going to do about this Huckabee guy?
Right.
And others.
Well, and now about this Huckabee guy, here's the thing. Mike Huckabee said the same exact thing on his show over the weekend. I had him on Monday, and he said this, and I brought it up because I was so impressed by what he said and the way he said it on his show on Fox News Channel on Saturday and Sunday that I asked him about it. So he talked about it on this show. I guess I should have sent it around, and I guess I blew the headline, but because I figured it was already talked about, it wasn't news anymore, and then he said it yesterday. But I can't think of one thing that he said that was wrong. He was talking about how he feels the Democrats treat and what the Democrats think about women. He wasn't saying, as was mistweeted, as you also wrote about it at Mediaite.com, Dana Bash's tweet and the NBC correspondent, they mistweeted. They said that he said women can't control their libido, and then said in a follow-up tweet, to be clear, instead of saying I goofed, I blew it, to be clear, he said that's how what the Democrats think of women. So what did he say that's so terrible?
Right, you misunderstood me. Well, you know what? Whatever you think about Mike Huckabee's statement, the key word for me in what you just said is he said this last week on his show. He's an entertainer. He's in a position of an entertainer. And time again, Republican entertainers and broadcasters are held up whenever they say something that is untoward or perceived as being rude. They're held up as the face of the Republican Party. And the reciprocal is never the case. Democratic and liberal entertainers, Sarah Silverman is never held up as the face of the Democratic Party. Liz Winstead is never the face of the Democratic Party.
Bill Maher.
Bill Maher is never the face of the Democratic. There's actually a really interesting double standard that goes on here, because these commentators who are political but are nevertheless entertainment figures make missteps rhetorically, or what are perceived as missteps, and they are held as the faces of the party, and it's never the other way around.
No, you're right. And how about the way Dana Bash and her name escapes me. Yes. How about the way they retweeted? I mean, was that good enough? I mean, just saying to be clear, which they both said, instead of saying, oh, I was wrong. They never admitted, culpability in any way, shape, or form and misrepresenting what Huckabee said. That's a pretty big thing to get wrong. The whole context of it was wrong.
Yeah, it's a big thing to get wrong, and they were smart to issue corrections. They probably could have been a little bit more contrite, but I'm kind of inclined to forgive that, because in our business, you hear something clicks, it's going to explode, and your mission is to get it out as soon as you possibly can. Being first is usually being wrong, and they sacrificed context for being first.
Right.
They made a mistake, and they're paying for it a little bit in credibility. But I understand where the instinct comes from.
All right, let me ask you about John Avlon and what he had to say about Glenn Beck. John Avlon, is one of those who claims he's not partisan. But boy, oh boy, and they used to portray him as a Republican. Now they call him libertarian. But to me, he's like Smirkanish. They say they're down the middle, but oh my goodness, they're absolutely not. And he really went after Beck.
Yeah, we posted this clip on Mediaite, and it really didn't cast him in a very favorable light. Beck is out there being very contrite for things that he should be contrite about, frankly. And John Applin was just having none of his apology and accusing him of hurling bile and of making the, cleaving the country down partisan lines, which is itself something that Beck said, but is even a little bit more, a little bit much, frankly, for both of them to say. And he just hurled vitriol, and it didn't make him look very good at all, frankly. And if he's the guy who's supposed to be, the voice of reason here, the voice of centrism and moderation, he looked like kind of a rude guy.
Yeah.
He made Beck look a whole lot better in comparison. If that was his mission, was to convey, bipartisanship, he did the precise opposite.
Yeah, no, you're right. Hey, Noah, always great to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
And you could read Noah and everyone else at Mediaite.com, and they provide the sound in addition to the commentary and the article. So good place to go. I go there multiple times a day. All right, folks. 2 segments coming up with Alan Dershowitz on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV, and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the experts at Precision Repair Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call this special